What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the mostest, Kivanshi, and we are here with Found Season 2, Episode 16, Missing While Witnessed. I cannot believe that we still have 6 more weeks with M&A. This is crazy, but we're just gonna jump right into this episode, okay? So I don't have too many updates from just last week to this week. We're kind of just hovering and circling the cadaver that is Jamie, that is Sir, that is Heather. So I have a few notes and a few relationship dynamics that I want to talk about, but of course, always got to start with the writer of this episode being Nikita Demare. The cinematographer is Starberry, and the director is Keesha Sharp. I just love her so much. So anytime I see her name, especially behind the camera and directing these scenes, I'm always, always just in awe. She does amazing. She's an amazing director. Happy Women's History Month, girl. Happy Women's History Month to you, Keisha. Okay, so just jumping right into it, I want to talk about the Sir and Heather dynamic. So Sir decided that he's not going to take the plea deal of 30 years. And Heather was basically informing him like, listen, I can't force Gabby to come up in here, but if you go to trial, then she has to come into the courtroom and you'll be able to see her and you'll be able to have access to her. But on the flip side of it, she was kind of arguing with him about being obsessed with Gabby in the first place. So it's like, what's your real angle? You're mad that he's obsessed with her, but you're helping him concoct a plan in order for her to be subpoenaed to actually be in the same room, in the same vicinity as him. So the way that she's going about this is kind of spiraling out of control, and I hope that this is a purposeful thing done in the acting. Oh my god, I can't talk. It's like 1 a.m. But I hope that this is done on purpose to really like show how she is unraveling as a character, because there's so much back and forth within this episode about her hating Gabby but wanting to put Gabby in Sir's clutches, but then reprimanding Sir for wanting and still seeking out Gabby's attention. Like, it's so strange to me and it don't make no sense. And girl, I'ma just need you to pick a side. I'm gonna need you to wrap this up and really just make a huge, bold move as to what your motivations and everything are, because it don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. I never liked Heather since she got here. So it just is what it is, girl. And she's also like, oh my God, like this job opportunity will be able to break the glass ceiling on our relationship, as she's talking to Trent. Now, okay, I'm jumping to like the end of the episode, but I kind of want to keep everything cohesive as I'm talking about certain characters. So we're gonna be on Heather for a little bit. Um, Heather goes to Trent's job and was like, "Oh, so your phone is working," and so Trent's like, "Okay, let's just get this all out in the open." So he pulls her into one of the conference rooms. And she's like, "Oh, so you can turn the other cheek and allow Gabby to bend the law, but you can't do the same for me." And Trent's like, yeah, see, you are all about breaking glass ceilings and trying to get your name out there and doing everything from work, while I'm over here worried about my integrity and I'm worried about my morals. But the thing I need Kivanchi is worried about is Miss Man. You've been dating for like 2 fucking weeks. Are you shitting me? He's supposed to give you more and put more stock into you and this weird ass jealousy that you have about Gabby, when he was already in a relationship with her for some years and it only got imploded because she had went and kidnapped Sir. Like, you don't even have any legs to stand on. And it's really reminding me of Beyond the Gates, where Heather is literally Haley, because like, what type of fucking delusional smoothies are you drinking before you go on your morning runs to even walk in this police station and say, how are you going to give more to Gabby than you are to me? According to this flesh wound that you keep taunting, and it's still red and looking a little bloody, baby, you ain't even been in his life for even more than a goddamn period cycle. let alone to compare yourself and his efforts and his loyalty and devotion between you and Gabi. So of course, Trent was like, it's over. It's over now. Move over. It's Gabi's time. Move over. It's her turn now. Sorry, because you have to go. You have to go. And also in this episode, she goes and confronts Gabi, and Gabi's like, girl, you could have just called me or texted me or sent it in a goddamn email. And she's still taunting Gabi. And so it's just like she's going out of her way to make people mad in pursuit of whatever it is that's going on with Sir. But at this juncture, and like I've been saying, her representing Sir ain't got nothing to do with Sir. And it has, have I been saying that? Okay, how do I put this? I believe still she's his accomplice. I believe she's his sister. But I believe that whatever they concocted over the years and whatever plan that they have, Heather has now branched off into her own thing and her own motivations. And there is a lot of anger aimed at Gabi, which makes me feel like Gabi is not safe around Heather. And if Sir starts to pick up this type of hostility, he won't be able to do anything to save her in the first place, because at the end of the day, he loves Gabi and he doesn't want her to be hurt. But in 3 separate occasions, there is just a vitriol and a venom that is aimed at Gabi, who supposedly you just learned about. So why are you this angry? So whatever poker face or whatever it is that you got going on, girl, I need you to hold them cards closer to your vest, because your shit is flayed all the way open and it's really looking like you're the villain and not even Sir. But something that I do like that Heather is doing is she's representing Sir on something that is aligning with them to be able to appeal to the audience about how he looks, his charisma, and him saving that girl, and introducing the evidence in which he helped Gabi solve those cases over the course of a year. That could backfire against Gabi and the claims of kidnapping from when he kidnapped her 20 years ago in court. And this could get him the sympathy, not only from the jurors, but in the court of public opinion. Because we already know how people in this country feel about people who are murderers, but they're also attractive. They will lay themselves up on the platter just to be killed by somebody because they think they fine. And so Heather does have a solid plan in that, and she can flip these things on Gabi's head. In this, another thing that I worried about is I'm not sure, like, what's the statute of limitations on kidnapping? Because one of his charges is the kidnapping of Gabrielle Mosley, but that was 20 years ago. Now they can get him on Lacey because this just happened this year. But as far as bringing charges on kidnapping, I don't know what the statute is for that. Like there's statutes on being able to bring people to court for like assault cases, rape cases, and stuff like that. Murder, there is no statute, but I'm not sure about like the kidnapping. So if y'all are like some lawyers or whatever, you're listening to this and you're looking it up, you can go ahead and leave it in the comments. Let me know. But it just seems like there's some charges that may not go all the way through on Sir. And because he denied the plea deal, we're definitely gonna go to trial. Whether it's the last 2 episodes of the seasons or whether we're opening up season 3 with a bang, with a heavily public scrutinized trial for Sir. So that's the whole Heather Sir of it all. But then we're also looking at Sir and his relationship with prison. So we see in this episode that the guard that he got to beat him up is literally wrapped around his finger. That man be giving him updates on Gabi. He be giving him updates on the cases and stuff that she has. And apparently Sir is helping him with his kids' schoolwork. Like, and Sir says himself in this episode, when he contacts Trent, he's like, information is a gold mine up in here. And the things that COs and other inmates and things are willing to do in order to get access to information and to get something that they value, they'll do anything. So Sir is able to use his charms and his intellect to be able to manipulate everybody around him and continue to be able to call Trent, continue to be able to call Gabi and get whatever it is that he needs for his bottom line. And I'm going to just go out on a limb and assume his ultimate jailbreak. I don't know that Heather will be mentally stable enough to perform in court to the point that she implants enough reasonable doubt for him to be acquitted. I feel like it might boil down to a breakout situation because Heather is seeming very unstable and it seemed like she has her own agenda that has nothing to do with her being a lawyer at all against Gabi. Now, this brings us to the Jamie, Trent, Gabi, Margaret, Jamie saga. So Jamie slipped up last episode and said, he's not going to turn her in or he doesn't want to betray her. And it looks like this was an accident. So we have this cycle in this episode where Jamie's kind of talking to Trent, like, okay, what will happen if, somebody was reported? And Trent's honest with him. He's like, look, I have to report to the law. But the people who did this to you know what they did. And then if they cross state lines with you at any point at all, we're also looking at federal prosecution as well. But, whenever, in your own time. So we really get to see like a more tender Trent. Maybe some of those walls of judgment are breaking down because if they weren't, we would have seen a Trent that regardless of Jamie, regardless of Margaret's wishes, he would have already started an investigation in this kidnapping. But it seems like he's trying to hold out as long as he can. But Trent and Gabi are kind of working in this space where like, okay, they aren't Margaret and they're kind of removed from the situation. So they're trying to create a space in which Jamie can walk to them and open up a little bit more. And in one of the scenes, Jamie's telling Gabi, like, oh, well, you have no idea what I'm going through. And it's like, y'all's stories are literally the same. Both of you were kidnapped by somebody who you love, by somebody who you least expected, and by somebody who loved you back, cared for you, bathed you, fed you, gave you new books, gave you new clothes, gave you new things to be interested in, even though they were keeping you from your primary parent. You have more in common than you think. But of course, Jamie is kind of like thrown back into the turmoil of it all because he's not acting like necessarily a 20-year-old when he makes the accusation. He's acting like a child. And this rolls into the case that they have as well, where he's questioning like somebody should have said something. What type of mother wouldn't have put in more efforts to be able to find her child? If the people around you saw that this child was missing, why didn't you speak up and say something? So Jamie is going through it more this episode, whereas we saw last episode, Margaret was going through it. But in this, right, I have to have a conversation with Margaret. Margaret, girl, at the beginning of the season, I want you to know that you had all the smoke, and rightfully so. And I'm not taking any of the boots that I stomped on your neck back. But I will say for Margaret, she really needs to look at this from the lens of a victim and not the lens of the mother of a victim. I think next episode would be a perfect time for Margaret to sit with Gabi and actually talk to Gabi about her own kidnapping so that she can at least gain some type of perspective that's not her son on what it feels like to not turn their kidnapper in, which would also mean having a hard conversation with Gabi on learning the truth about why Gabi kept Sir alive and kidnapped him in the first place. Because if Margaret learns that Gabi did it, Gabi was going to kill him, but she kept him alive for her because of Jamie, I think Margaret would have a different lens and a different perspective and a different approach to Jamie in trying to figure out who kidnapped him. Right now, she's angry, she's accusatory, and it's low-key feeling like she's blaming him for the whole situation. When if she gets to talk to Gabi about her kidnapping, talk about Gabi for real, about her motivations behind keeping Sir in her own basement, I think that she would pump her brakes and be able to emotionally release from Jamie and look at this from the detective lens that she's gained since his actual kidnapping. And then to wrap it all up, right? Sir has been teasing over and over and over all season. Like, I know where Jamie is. I can get Jamie back to you. He said it to Gabi when she first kidnapped him. He said it to Margaret to her face when he broke into M&A. And then Jamie just so happens to show up. Is there a correlation between the kidnapper and Sir? Who knows? But Jamie is taking it upon himself to get some answers, because at the end of this episode, he goes to prison, signs in on the visitor's log to see none other than Hugh, Sir Evans himself. So there's that. Found season 2, episode 16, Missing While Witnessed. We are getting to the end, y'all, and I just hope that the end of the season gives us at least one answer to a myriad of questions. The answer that I want is, who is Jamie's kidnapper? Sir can stay in jail until season 3. The accomplice's identity can remain hidden until season 3. I want to know who kidnapped Jamie. I want to know once and for all, and I feel like it's going to be somebody that will make Margaret crash out in the actual sense of the word and not the new generation sense of the word. Like, she is going to crash out in a way that she disregards her life and the life of people around her to be able to harm the person who took this many years from her, who made her feel guilt, who made her feel like she wasn't that good of a mom, who destroyed her marriage and her relationship with her other living kids. I just feel like it's somebody underneath her nose, and I still feel like it's the husband and a mistress. If it's like a grandparent of Jamie's, or like a friend, like a super close friend of the family, I think Margaret would pursue them with like the full scale of justice. But if it turns out to be her ex-husband, we're going to be looking at a Margaret that puts a bullet into somebody's head, and now M&A is going to be trying to figure out how to keep her out of jail and how to cover up a murder, because like, it makes no sense that Jamie would be this tight-lipped about his kidnappers to the point of going to see Sir in jail instead of talking to his mama. That don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. But y'all tell me. Y'all tell me. Also, somebody brought up in one of the comments of my last recap of Found, they were like, this ain't got nothing to do with nothing. They said, if Bella got kidnapped, why would you keep her bedroom in a place where she has a balcony and anybody can walk in? And honestly, I hadn't even thought about it until then. Sir was in and out. Sir was camping out under the bed, in the closet, and everything. And it's like, y'all really weren't making it hard for a reoccurrence to happen. And so when I read that comment, it also reminded me of when Sir broke into M&A before he got set up to go to jail. He had broken in there a few times prior, and I'm just like, y'all got all this equipment. You're able to hack into the DCPD and all these other things, but you can't keep this man from breaking a lock in your building with all of these cases. Trent, you're a whole cop and you can't fortify your house to where Sir can't break in. Like, this don't make no sense. So, you know what? Maybe they just think like they're untouchable or that it will never happen again. I don't know. I can't speak to the safety and security measures of the people who wrote this show. That ain't got nothing to do with me, but I thought that was super funny. But who knows, man? 6 more episodes left. Will Sir break out of jail? Will he be acquitted? Or will he be convicted of his crimes? And of course, more importantly, who kidnapped Jamie? And with that, we're going to end this episode. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. leave comments in the comments box below, and make sure that you share the links for Spotify and Apple Podcasts for those who like to just listen to audio podcasts. You can find me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast. And you can also find me on Twitter at Kivanchi, as well as TikTok at Kivanchi. And remember, on TikTok, I'm doing 3 minutes or less reviews, recaps, either of whole seasons, movies, or episodic reviews of things that I do not talk about on this podcast. So if you want to know what some other things I'm watching, some other things that I'm recommending, I highly recommend you go over to TikTok. You can follow me or you can just look at the videos. It is what it is. I'm not going to force you to do anything there. TikTok is a hub, okay? I get it. I get it. I get it. And with that, I'm going to catch y'all in the next one.